Hello, everybody. I am back for another movie review, and this time I'm going to review a film that actually is a decent favorite of mine and one that I actually enjoyed watching just for this review. And this is, of course, The Abyss. The Abyss is a science fiction action adventure film that came out back in 1989 and once again directed by the great James Cameron. And literally, this movie is often considered by many to be James Cameron's magnum opus, like his greatest work. Well, that's debatable, but again, it's all about preference, whether what you want to think about it or not. But either way, this movie is a masterpiece regardless. The plot of the film is a U.S. nuclear submarine goes down in a deep ocean trench, and the U.S. and a local oil rig ultimately team up together to try to find the submarine and salvage it and try to locate any survivors. But en route, they ultimately come across something very unexpected. They come across a life form that lives in the water that apparently is not of this world. And while tensions rise and disaster strikes when the oil rig is ultimately cut off by a hurricane hovering in the world above, and the military group that shows up to help the oil rig ultimately begin to snap under pressure, pretty much. And when they discover the life forms themselves, they think it's an act of war, so they ultimately act to try to defuse the whole situation, while the oil rig crew realize that these extraterrestrial alien life forms they're coming across really don't mean any harm at all. They're just a peaceful race trying to thrive underwater. So that's when the tension strikes, that's when the tensions rise and chaos ensues, and, well, you know the rest. The Abyss really is one of those films that, honestly, over time, I feel like it just gets better with repeated viewings. And unfortunately, when the movie first debuted in 1989, unfortunately, it was not as big of a hit as some of Cameron's other films. Like, obviously before The Abyss, Cameron had The Terminator and Aliens, and he also wrote Rambo First Blood Part 2. All those films were huge box office hits. The Abyss, on the other hand, unfortunately, was not. The movie was made on a pretty massive budget at the time. Some websites say it's like $43 million. I remember one website, if you were to look it up if you were to Google the budget for the film online, it would come up as $69.5 million. At least that's what I looked at. So at the time, this was one of the most expensive film productions ever. In fact, honestly, I think this may have been the most expensive movie to come out of the 1980s. And unfortunately, the movie did not bring in enough in the States, it did not bring in enough to cover its budget. Worldwide, it did. So the movie made about $90 million worldwide. So the movie, while profitable, wasn't as big as like Aliens was or Rambo 2 was. But despite all that, the movie did get praised by critics. Currently, it's got an 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. And honestly, I think it holds up very well. But one aspect of the film that has definitely held up well is definitely its visual effects, which honestly deserved as much praise as they really should have. The film ended up receiving 4 Academy Award nominations, getting nominated for visual effects, production design, cinematography, and sound, and ultimately winning the visual effects Oscar, and for good reason. The Abyss was one of the first movies to literally push CGI to a whole new level, with the water tentacle that comes out of the water, which is one of the most amazing CGI effects still to this date that I've ever seen in any feature-length movie. But it's not just that. The production design was really amazing, the cinematography was great, and even the sound was great too, and the fact that much of the movie was shot, a majority of the film was shot underwater, literally, and not exactly in the best of conditions, because honestly, when it comes to being there are movies out there that are very easy to have shooting, easy shooting schedules. There are some that are just on the brink of just madness. The Abyss is one of those films that is on the brink of madness when it came to shooting this movie. This may possibly take the cake as being one of the most difficult movies to have ever been made in history. The production was obviously not as amazing as you think it was. Many of the actors obviously broke down under pressure. I even learned that actor Ed Harris, he at some points broke down in tears when he was interviewed and asked about The Abyss, and he just refused to talk about it. And some of the actors even refused to work with James Cameron ever again because of how much pressure he put on his actors and crew. So yes, James Cameron does have a notoriety of being, tough to work with, but in the end, some of the films he put out are just full-on masterpieces, and The Abyss is one of them. This movie is just an absolute masterpiece. And it's kind of funny how The Abyss took home the Oscar for visual effects for having CGI, and years earlier, the Disney film Tron was denied a visual effects nomination at the Oscars because they felt the filmmakers had cheated using computers to do the visuals. Well, look at The Abyss. The water tentacle was done with CGI, and it won the Oscar, beating out its two competitors were The Adventures of Baron Munchausen and Back to the Future Part 2. Which is funny because at the Saturn Awards, The Abyss was nominated for special effects, and in the end, it actually lost to Back to the Future Part 2. But at the BAFTAs, the British version of the Academy Awards, they gave the best visual effects that year to Honey, I Shrunk the Kids. And that's one movie I'm actually shocked that did not receive a visual effects nomination either at the Oscar. Well, it did get a nomination at the Saturns, but not the Oscars. That was weird. But in the end, I think the Academy did go with a wise decision to give it to The Abyss. But the movie is chock full of tension. Loads of it. Claustrophobia galore. If you're not a fan of tight spaces, this is one movie you might want to avoid watching. There are parts of this movie where, water seeps into the oil rig and it feels like a scene right out of Titanic. Well, heck, The Abyss, I feel like it may have had some influence on Cameron when he ended up doing Titanic later. And there are portions of the film that are just, there's a few scenes in the movie that will literally, make you cry, will make you definitely tense up. At least one or two scenes where, it's literally an arm grabber. Or you're in the movie theater and you literally want to clutch onto that armrest so bad you cannot let go. There's at least a few scenes in this movie that are like that. As for The Abyss here, when it comes to the home video release, unfortunately, this is one movie that is literally crying for a Blu-ray, and unfortunately, I still only have the DVD version of The Abyss. So, it's disappointing, I know, but let's just take a look at it. So this is the special 2-disc collector's edition I have here of the movie, and this is not the keep case version. It's sort of like a, cardboard sleeve, which is pretty cool. I've actually had this one for a long time, and I'm amazed how good shape it's still in. So you fold it out, it comes open like this, and inside here are the 2 discs. Disc 1 being the movie, and there we go. Disc 1 being the movie, and Disc 2 has all the bonus features. And inside here is a booklet that actually, because the movie disc has not one but 2 versions of the film. There's the theatrical version, and there's the extended version with about 30 minutes of extra footage added to the movie. So that booklet actually goes deep into talking about all the extra scenes that are included with the extended director's cut version. So, for the video quality on the disc, honestly, it's good, but I'm disappointed that the movie is in a non-anamorphic widescreen transfer. Now, the difference between anamorphic and non-anamorphic is, anamorphic, the movie is specifically done to fit the screen on the TV. Say, for instance, you have a flat screen TV, much like this one here. Say, for instance, you have a flat screen. Basically, if you're watching the movie, anamorphic would mean the image would fit the entire screen. And so, for instance, if it was 185 by 1 or lower than that, there would be no bars at the top and bottom. Now, if it was 166 by 1, there would be bars on the, coming up vertically, on over here. On this side. Horizontally, they would be up and bottom, for 235 by 1 or higher. And non-anamorphic means the image is going to be in a window style. So non-anamorphic would basically be if it was 235 by 1, the bars would be up in here, so the image would be like in the center of the screen, almost. And it's so irritating to the point where I actually had to adjust my TV to actually, literally, make the image fit the entire screen. Half the time, I don't know why it does. But overall, yeah, some Blu-rays have a film like in a non-anamorphic format like that, where it's full frame, where you actually have to adjust the TV to fit the screen. And unfortunately, The Abyss is like that, which is really disappointing. But honestly, the image on the disc is actually not bad. It's actually digitally remastered in THX for optimal sound and picture quality. So for the most part, The Abyss actually looks pretty decent on DVD. Not like, crystal clear perfect, but honestly, it's still a pretty solid transfer of the film, but it is disappointing that the image has to be only in non-anamorphic. I would originally have given the film like a 3.5 to 4 star rating for the video, but because it's non-anamorphic, I would have to drop it down to. I would have to give the image out of 5 stars. Probably, normally I would have given it a 4, but because it's non-anamorphic, I would have to drop it to a 3.5. For a DVD, that is. It still looks really good for a DVD release. And that's why I'm hoping out for a Blu-ray, because this is one movie that really needs to get into the high-def format. I've actually learned that James Cameron has been trying to get a 4K version of the film to be released. I don't know when. It hasn't been announced yet, so hopefully it comes out soon. As for the sound, the audio, honestly, it sounds pretty good for a movie of this quality. There's only 2 audio tracks to choose from on the movie. It's 2.0 Dolby Surround and 5.1 Dolby Digital Surround. Both tracks sound pretty good. I would probably go with the 5.1 version since it sounds really good. It sounds very beefy, so the audio definitely accomplishes the movie very well. So I would say out of 5 stars, the audio definitely gets a 4. As for the bonus features, honestly, this is what definitely makes this DVD set worth owning, because as you can see here, 2 discs, and both of these discs are just, well, the movie disc doesn't really have much on it. There's only a few things, but the second disc is where I wish I had a list here to accompany me on what's on the second disc. Unfortunately, this booklet doesn't have it, but I'll try to explain it the best way I can. As for the movie disc, basically, as I've said, you get not one but 2 versions of the film, theatrical and extended, as it's called the special edition version on the disc. But so yeah, unfortunately, there's no audio commentary, but there is a text commentary that you can watch, and it pops, and text information pops up while you're watching the movie, and it delivers quite a bit of fun information about the movie itself. And the only other main extra that's on the movie disc, also there's DVD-ROM material. Anybody that still has DVD-ROM, just pop the disc into your computer and you can actually access interactive material on basically about the movie, which is pretty cool. There's also personnel lockers. It's basically cast and crew information. And that's really all there is on the movie disc. But the bonus features disc, oh man, this sucker is loaded to the full capacity with bonus material. There's documentaries, featurettes, storyboards, like deleted material, text information galore. There's even a segment that includes the entire screenplay that James Cameron himself personally wrote about the movie. Yes, not only did he direct, he wrote the story too. So, and there's a bunch of hidden Easter eggs found on the disc, and there's people that have actually reviewed the movie before and have never found all the stuff on here. So this is one DVD that is packed to the gills with extras. It definitely deserves the term special edition. Yeah, like I said, there's a full-length documentary called Under Pressure, The Making of. It runs about an hour long, and it's a very comprehensive look at the movie. But as I've said, there are multiple featurettes, multiple storyboards, like visual effects footage, where there's like one segment that goes into how they created the water tentacle in the movie. And again, how they designed the entire set underwater, filming underwater, interviews with many of the actors. There's tons of material to be found on here. And like I said, I wish I had printed out a list to show you all the stuff that's on here. Because unfortunately, on a DVD box here, there's no listing. That's all there is in the back, and the same goes with the back here. There's no, I really wish there was a list that would show you all the stuff that's on here. But either way, this is like I said, this DVD set would have been perfect. Honestly, this DVD would have been even more perfect if the image was an anamorphic instead of non-anamorphic. That's the disappointing thing. That really is. Oh yeah, on the spine here it says number 1 as a collector's edition. That's when 20th Century Fox was doing they were doing like collector's edition releases of their movies, and this was actually the first one to be released under that brand. So The Abyss was one of the first. I know there's a few others that did it, like Independence Day, Tim Burton's Planet of the Apes remake, both the Fly movies, the ones that the one that David Cronenberg did from '86, and the sequel that came out in '89, same year The Abyss did. Both got the collector's edition treatment like that. Oh yeah, and there's one other thing I got to show off here. I also have the soundtrack on CD for The Abyss, the score by Alan Silvestri. If anybody don't know who Alan Silvestri is, he scored some amazing films. Like, you know, he obviously did he scored Back to the Future, all 3 movies, Predator obviously, and he is more known now for scoring the main theme for the Avengers movies for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Alan Silvestri really has come far, and it's crazy to think that he actually scored a movie by a filmmaker who is often dubbed the King of the World. Actually, to this date, still is. So that's pretty awesome. And honestly, his score for The Abyss is pretty amazing. And I actually like the cover art there on the CD. That's pretty cool, even though it kind of resembles the cover art in The Abyss a little bit, but still, it's pretty impressive. So yeah, there's all the other stuff. Yeah, not really much. I think there is another CD that has an even bigger, like a bigger listing, so... Oh yeah, and of course the Abyss has been released countless times on home video. There has been a 2-disc version other than this one. It's the exact same one, except the packaging is a little different. There's also a DVD where it's only just the movie disc and without the bonus features. But I'm sure you can find the film pretty cheap online. It depends on which version of the film you get. I'm not sure because I did not buy this online. I actually bought this DVD at a... I think I got it at a Barnes & Noble. I'm pretty sure I did. I can't remember if I bought this one online or not, because I've had this one for so long, so I can't remember. But like I said, this is one movie that is literally crying for a Blu-ray and 4K, because with the advent of Blu-ray coming out and all the other movies coming out on Blu-ray except for this one, but since Fox is no longer around anymore, since technically Disney now owns it, so... trying to see if we can get a hold of Disney and see if they can get this one out. Now, I've actually heard rumors that there actually are fan-made Blu-rays of this movie available online, and so see if anybody can track one down. Until then, unfortunately, we are just stuck with the DVD version, unfortunately. But nonetheless, it's still a great release. The image quality, like I said, is good, but it really would have been better if it had been an anamorphic. The audio fits the film perfectly, and like I said, what makes or breaks a disc is the wealth of extras. And honestly, there is just so much material on this release. It may take you hours, maybe days to get through everything. So for the bonus material, oh yeah, I forgot to rate the audio. Out of 5 stars, I'd definitely give the audio a 4. As for The Abyss, if I could rate it above 5 stars, I would give the bonus features a 10 out of 5 for the extras. That's how much material is loaded on here. So honestly, great DVD, fantastic release, but the video is problematic. Not too problematic, but like I said, if it was anamorphic, I would rate the video way higher than it is, but unfortunately, I'm still solid with the 3.5 star rating I'm giving it to. So honestly, like I said, when it comes to The Abyss, I would say out of 5 stars, the movie gets a solid 5 out of 5 for me. That's how good of a film it is. If you've yet to see The Abyss, you're in for quite a treat. This movie is just beautiful to look at. It's also mesmerizing. It's terrifying. It's action-packed. It's mind-blowing. And it is just chock full of tension. tension galore. But also, it was a huge milestone in visual effects with the CGI. So the visual effects are once again just mind-blowing. So, this concludes the presentation. I hope you enjoyed it, and I will continue to keep putting out more videos in the days to come. So don't forget to hit like and subscribe to my channel, Watson87Unknown. So until then, take care and be safe.